Okay, let's do some further curve sketching, and this time I'm going to do a batch of sketches which involve things like y equals x to the 4 graphs, or y equals x to the 5 graphs, or even y equals x to the 6, x to the 7 graphs. Let's have a look what these look like. So number 1, y equals 2x to the 5 take away 3. So I'm going to set up, remember it's a sketch, so I don't need a table of values, a y and x axis. I'm looking at this and I can see it's an x to the 5 graph. Remember from our basic accurate work that we've done in the past, an x to the 5 graph looks exactly the same sort of shape as an x to the 3 graph because it's got an odd power. Obviously on the same picture it would be a steeper graph because of the power 5, but the shape is exactly the same. If you look at this, it's a negative 3 on the end, so that means the x to the 5 graph is shifted 3 places down, so indicate minus 3 on the y-axis. X to the 5 graph is that basic shape, similar to the x cubed shape, and it's got a slope of 2, so that makes it a bit steeper. So something like this is the picture that you would get for y equals 2x to the 5 minus 3. Easy. Okay, number 2, something very similar. We've got this time an x to the 4 graph taking place. X to the 4 graph. Well, remember x to the 4 graph has got an even power, so as we discussed in the previous video, all even powered graphs, so like y equals x squared, y equals x to the 4, y equals x to the 6, they all will give you a U-shape. Now the U-shape for this particular one, because it's a power 4, would be a steeper U-shape than the x squared graph if you put them on the same picture. But it is a U-shape. Okay. But we've got a 10 there, that tells you it's going to be very steep, and we also have a minus there, so what that tells you is we get the U-shape being flipped to become the N-shape being symmetrical in the x-axis. We also have a plus 1 there, which means that the whole N-shape, not U-shape now, the N-shape is going to be shifted up 1 place. So if I move that up to plus 1 on the y-axis, I need now to draw an N-shape because of the minus, steep, like this. And that basically is the sort of picture you'd get for that if we did a table of values. So there you go, 2 basic ones for x to the 5 and x to the 4 graphs. Let's make it a bit harder for the next 2 examples. Okay, so example number 3. Here we go. I'll do an even bigger picture for number 3 so you can see it clearly. How about y equals a half, and then I'm going to put x minus 1 in a bracket to the power 7, and then I'm going to say plus 3 on the end. So I've got to sketch that. Looking at that, I can absolutely see for certain that this is going to be a power 7 graph. There's an x in a bracket raised to a power 7. X to the 7. 7's an odd number, so it's going to be the same basic shape as an x cubed graph. In front of it we've got a positive number, so it is going to be this basic outline of an x cubed shape, x to the 7 shape. Half means it's going to be quite shallow, or shallower than normal, and we've got a plus 3 on the end and a minus 1 in the bracket. So the plus 3 on the end is going to shift the curve up 3 places, and the minus 1 in the bracket, remember the minus 1 is not going to shift it to negative 1 left, it's going to shift it 1 place to the right. So taking all that on board, we get a sketch that looks like this. Okay. The plus 3 means we get a shifting up of 3 places, so indicate plus 3 on the y-axis. The minus 1 means we get a shift of 1 place to the right, so 1 on the positive x-axis. Where the 2 points, where the 2 values intersect, put the point. We need to draw our curve with its important feature, the centre of the curve at that point. We've got a positive number, so it's going to be a positive shaped cubic shape, but remember it's a power 7, same as a cubic. And we have a half there which is quite shallow. So I'm going to draw basically quite a shallow looking cubic, which is actually a power 7 graph. Okay. Now obviously on the same picture, a cubic compared to this power 7 sketch would not be as steep. The power 7 graph is a lot steeper than the cubic. Another small point is, do not be concerned about where it crosses this axis at the moment. If you drew it and it hadn't come across the axis and it had crossed down here instead, the examiner, as far as they're concerned, will give you the marks. It's this and this value that's important with the basic shape, which is next to the 7 shape or an x cubed shape. Okay, number 4, I'll do another one. And this will be the last of these that I do in this little short video. So number 4, how about this one? Y equals minus 10 lots of x plus 5 in a bracket, and I'm going to do to the power 8, and then I'm going to say plus 2, say. So something like that. I'm looking at this, it's x in a bracket, it's a power 8 graph. It's an even power, so we're going to get a U shape. But because of the minus, that U shape inverts to become an N shape. We know it's going to be steep, so a steep N is what I'm looking at. We need to move it up 2 places because of the plus 2, and I need, because of the plus 5, to move it not 5 right, which you might think, but 5 left. Put all that information into a very quick sketch, and you will get a Y and X axis. We have, remember, a U shape that's become an N shape. Okay, so an N shape, up 2 places. So mark on 2 on the y-axis. We also have plus 5, that tells you to move it to minus 5, not plus 5, on the x-axis. Where those two meet, we put a point. We need to draw now our N shape, remember, with the top of the N at that place there. It's going to be steep because of the 10 and also because it's a power 8. So we have an N shape, steep, drawn in that position there. And that is a very typical standard sketch for a power 8 graph. And that's the end of this video.